Hey, welcome back, guys, to a brand new episode here on MQ about all things fantasy sci-fi, and as always, I'm your host, Schmook. Now, this week we're going to be going over episode 7 of Foundation and episode 4 of Invasion, alright? So let's just get right into it. So the episode of Invasion for this week was pretty interesting. So we got a little more, like, big story things, where it's definitely starting to kick into, like, a whole finale, right? Like, we're getting a lot of revelations here. So, for example, we find out officially that these people that the Warden from Terminus is with wants to take down the Empire, okay? Destroy this galactic federation that there is and let there be more peace and harmony and less of like a, it seems more like a communist rule or like a super fascist rule, I should say, probably. But the Warden's boyfriend does die in this episode. Heartbreaking scene. Happens really early on. But that's really all we see from her in this episode. Like, they're like taking on the ship. Not too much there. But the big stuff from this episode, which I really liked, was with Brother Dawn. Okay, so I am pretty positive now that this is all happening in real time with what's happening with Brother Dawn, Brother Day, and Brother Dusk. So Brother Day is still in that one place he was with, talking to this one woman. She wants no part of the Empire whatsoever. She just wants it done with. He's starting to realize that. He's trying to use like a little bit of a fear factor there, which is interesting. But the Brother Dawn shit is the stuff I've been enjoying the most, okay? Actually, so in this episode, we see him, he's definitely into this one girl. The girl that we met in the last episode where he didn't want to sleep with her, they just talked, and she was so confused. She's kind of talking behind his back to Brother Dusk in the last episode. But in this episode, they seem more like they're actually like in love. Like, they finally, like, make love, and it seems like a tender, beautiful moment. He doesn't know what he's doing, but this Brother Day seems to be like a malfunction in the whole cloning process, because he seems to be completely different from his brothers, right? And he, like, the girl he's with wants him to come with her and just leave the Empire, like, take out all of his tracking stuff, and, like, just to be his own guy, which I think could happen by the end of the season. That's what it's kind of building up to, in my opinion, possibly when Brother Day is taken out. But anyway, I just want to get into the really juicy stuff. Like, that's good stuff, but I think the mass majority of this episode that I found incredibly fascinating was with Gale. She's finally back. We missed her for like about an episode or two. We're finding out what's happening with her and Henry. So Henry apparently has put his mind into like this computer thing, right? Because apparently he has some disease where his conscious is basically just going to go away. He won't remember who he is and whatnot, blah, 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 right? Kind of like Dr. Zemo in Captain America the Winter Soldier, except he's like a full-on hologram. He looks completely realistic. But he was glitching out when we met him at the end of the last episode with Gale. Not last week's episode, but, you know, probably like 2 weeks ago, I believe. But we're finally getting more into it, and she's able to calm him down. They're actually able to have full-on conversations. So, and the whole thing is that this is a whole plan by Henry to be able to take down the Empire. And so her boyfriend kills him because it's all part of his plan, because he wants to put his mind into this spaceship or into this hive mind thing before his mind completely disappears and it wouldn't matter worth a damn, right? But he gets in trouble for it. He wanted Gale's boyfriend to be the one who would be on this pod with him to take on the Empire, but he saves Gale's life and she is the one now in his place. And we find out at the end of the episode that Gale, like, we've seen this a little bit throughout the show so far with Gale, that she has a little bit of a hindsight, you know, kind of like a That's So Raven, but like she has, like, she can see the future to an extent. Like she can see it coming. Like, there was like an asteroid that went through the ship and she was able to stop it with some like plate thing, I don't know, but that's what's making it real interesting to me, because the Gale is looking like this savior figure, kind of like Timothy shot like from Paul from Dune, and you know, a lot of other big science fiction characters, right? Which I'm definitely digging, because I like Gale probably the most in this show. I like her, probably Brother Day and Brother Dawn the most. Those are the characters I'm actually feeling like a connection with when I'm watching the show, and that's what matters to me when I'm watching a show. Like, I have to be really into these characters, and I'm definitely into these characters for sure. Show overall is excellent so far. We're getting closer to the end, getting real close to the end of the episode, and it could get interesting, guys. So let's go right into Invasion now. Alright, so Invasion Episode 4. I just watched it not too long ago, and it's still pretty fresh in my mind. I'm loving where it's going. It's getting real interesting. Like, again, like, we're definitely following these 4 characters. I do kind of I still dislike how they did Sam Neill dirty in the first episode, because, like, he's like the poster guy, you know? Like, and it's just to bring in like a fan base to be like, oh man, it's the Jurassic Park guy. I can't wait to see this show. And it's like, well, he dies at the end of the first episode, but it's okay because we get introduced to other characters in this episode. We get introduced to the dad of the astronaut who died, who's the lover of the main Japanese woman. So that's cool. So we'll get into what happens there a little bit later on. We see the African American man in Afghanistan looking for his men after having to deal with some alien craft, right? And then we also have the family with the cheating husband, and then we have the British kids who are trapped, right? So let's go over the storyline for the family first. I thought it was interesting. I am starting to really dig this storyline. It's interesting. So the wife is definitely going crazy throughout this whole time. Like, her husband cheated on her, which we find out in the pilot. And we find out in this episode that woman is pregnant, and so she's losing her mind even more. Like, literally, as she's driving, like talking about baby names to him, and he's like, "What are you talking about?" And she's like, "Oh, I know." And it's a crazy scene there. But then their son runs away at that point when they're arguing, and they don't notice, so they have to go looking for him. And of course, like, the whole area in the United States where they're at is apparently under like a lockdown, where if they're out and about at night, they'll probably get shot by the National Guard. But they run it, and they find this house with an older man who found their kid, and they're it just seems like a nice old man with a wife that take care of their kid and wants to just house them for the night so they don't get shot up by the National Guard. So interesting for sure. But that's really it for their storyline. Nothing too crazy, but definitely a big like revelation there, like being like, oh, he got the other chick pregnant, and he's with his family while this woman's probably going bonkers over what's happening within the United States, and she's pregnant, and the father figure, or the father of the child, is not there. But yeah, that's really it for them. So on to the African American man in Afghanistan, the military man. I love this character. I think he's a cool guy. This whole episode, he's just trying to find his men. He finally gets a signal, like, where there's like a beacon, where it's like definitely like a tracker device, so they can find each other, I guess, if they get separated. So he finally gets a signal. So he goes to this hospital wing type thing. He finds his man who is good friends with when we first meet him, and he's like really injured, and so he's carrying him out of this building. He's getting shot at from like the people over in Afghanistan, and he shoots them down, and he gets in his car, and then he loses his man, and that's really it for his storyline. There's not too much there. Like, when he finds his friend who's basically dying, he's talking to this one woman who is like, you kill kids or something like that, and then he's just like, don't ever say that to me. And it's like, I respect that. I love the guy. Like, definitely a very fun character to be following. I wish we got a little bit more from him. We haven't gotten that much of him in the series so far. But then we get into my probably my more favorite stuff, which is with Casper and the British kids. So far, that's probably definitely my favorite character like selection in this show. So they're trapped at the bottom, and then like Casper's like, I'm taking away my vote. You're no longer the ruler down here. So he's starting to stand up for himself, which I'm really digging. Poor kid, he probably hates himself because like he blames himself for crippling his mom, basically, which he found out in episode 3. But he's like, screw this, I'm done. We're not listening to you. We're not just gonna sit down here and die, because they're in this like big ass hole where there's like no way out unless they climb up this mountain. Casper's like, screw this, and he decides to climb up, and then the rest of the kids are able to actually climb up safely with him after they see that he does it. And so they're at the top, and they're like, we have to go find food or people and let them know where we're at. So that's really it. There wasn't too much there for them, which makes me a little disappointed. It was a long episode, but like I feel like we didn't get a whole lot of character arcs besides from the family. But we get a little bit more with the Japanese woman. I wish I could remember her name. I need to remember all their names. I'll get to that at some point. Probably in episode 5. I'll try to make sure to listen out for it, or just go on IMDb. But anyway, so with her, she's talking to like the Japanese government about what she heard, and they're like, listen, it's probably just space junk that destroyed their spacecraft, or the International Space Station, right? And she's just like, that's BS, right? And so she goes to see the father of her lover, or whatever. I believe it's her dad. And they're going over like the footage that they heard, and like they're listening to some radio thing, and they hear like this signal, or it's like this message, and they're like, yeah, we need a bigger like beacon or something to hear this. So he asks if JASA has it. So, NASA, but Japan, right? So that's kind of how the episode ends. Again, this has been a little bit of a filler episode. I don't feel like a lot happened. The only real big story point I found in this episode was really the husband of the wife who cheated on her, impregnated the woman he slept with, which is an interesting turn. There's going to continue to be a tear in that relationship, and I'm curious where it goes from there. But I think that's going to be it for today, guys. I hope you all enjoy. Make sure to watch these shows so I'm not just spoiling it for you, but I think they're excellent shows. I highly recommend both of them, and I hope you just follow along with me. I think once I'm done with both of these, I'll be done with Foundation here soon. Invasion is going to be starting. I'll probably get caught up with it probably by the time I'm done with Invasion, I feel, maybe. So you guys let me know down in the comments below if you'd want me to just, once I'm done with Foundation, which will be in like 3 weeks, I guess, so 3 videos from now, and by that point we'll be in episode 7 of Invasion, where there'll probably be only like 3 more episodes left, unless it's a 12 episode season. I'm not too sure on that. Let me know if you want me to do like just Invasion when I'm done with Foundation, or if you just want me to do Foundation separately and Invasion separately, and then do C separately. But if you like what I'm doing here with Foundation and Invasion, and once I'm done with Foundation, I can just put C into this mix, and then I'll probably just review C separately. But you guys just let me know, because I mean, C's been out and it's already out and done, so I would probably just do like a review of each episode of C on its own. But you know, you guys just let me know. All right, just write down in the comments below what you guys think of these shows, and make sure to like and subscribe, and I will catch y'all really soon. Bye bye.